All right, this week we are going to do a lesson regarding distance on the coordinate plane. When we do this, we are going to be using the exact same skill that we learned last week, which is the Pythagorean theorem. If you notice on these problems, you were given 2 points on the coordinate plane, and they are on a diagonal. So what we do for all of these problems is we create a right triangle with that diagonal. We give it height, and we give it length. And then from there, we've got our A sides and our B sides, and we utilize that to then find our C side. Our C side, haha. The hypotenuse. Okay, so this is the C. All right, so if you recall from last week, the Pythagorean theorem is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now, in this problem, our C is always going to be, so we created a right triangle here. That's obviously a right triangle. Our C is the side that's opposite of that. It's that diagonal. So it doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. For the sake of this problem, we'll just say that 3 is A. So this will be 3 squared plus 6 squared. That's our base and our height is equal to C squared. All right, and then we work it out. 3 squared is 9. 6 squared is 36. So that means that 9 plus 6 is equal to C squared. 9 plus 36 is 45. 45 equals C squared. Don't forget the last thing that you have to do, the inverse operation of squaring something, of multiplying it by itself, is taking the square root of it. So we'll take the square root of 45 in order to figure out what the value of C is. And here's where you're going to need a calculator. All right, so I'm going to punch in 45 and then my square root button, and I get this crazy long decimal. We want to round it to the nearest tenths place, which means it will have one number after the decimal. So for this one, I'm going to round to 6.7. All right, and that is going to be the approximate value of this side length. And that answer should make sense. The C length, the hypotenuse, the diagonal, is always going to be a number that is just slightly larger than your other two sides. It's always the bigger number, and it shouldn't be too far off from either one of them. Okay. Over here, you might look at this and say, okay, well, this has both, what is this symbol? It has either a positive or negative. Remember, when you take the square root of something, it could be either positive or negative. But for the sake of what we're doing, since we're talking about distance, the negative answer doesn't make sense. So we're going to just record our positive answers. Okay, let's do another example. All right, down here, I've got number 1. Let me fold this in half so you can see it a little better. Okay, so we're going to find the distance of this line. What's nice about this, it gives you the coordinate plane. You can just use your squares to create that right angle. You go down and you go over. Okay, so it's 2 units tall. There's 2 boxes there, and this is 1, 2, 3 boxes wide. Okay, so our A and our B are 2 and 3. And then we're trying to find this. This is the C. So for every single one of these problems, every single one, they are all diagonals. These are all going to be the C value. So you are going to do every single one of these problems exactly the same. I'll make sure I put this worksheet in the Google Classroom so that you can download it and print it if you would like, so that you can write on it and do your work on here. That might make the work a little bit easier this week. Okay, so let's do our Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And I know you don't have me in the classroom yelling at you. Show your work. Write it down. You cannot do all of this in your head. You can't. Write it down. All right, 2 squared plus 3 squared, because that's my A and my B, equals C squared. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. that equals c squared. Okay, this one's not too bad. 4 plus 9 is 13. That equals c squared. 13 is not a perfect square, so when I take the square root of it, I'm going to get another crazy, messy decimal. So the square root of 13, all right, 13, I get 3.60, so I'm going to leave it as just 3.6. 3 6/10 is going to be my C value. So you would record your answer as that and leave it be. All right, I'm going to do one more with you guys. Let's pop down here and do number 3. All right, so I'm going to make my right triangle out of this. So from here to here, I go down, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 units. And then I go over, and that is 2 units. All right, I'm just going to count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 1, 2. Okay, it's always good to double check yourself. And there's my Pythagorean theorem. I don't want to forget anything, so I'm going to write it down. Now let's plug these values in. Does it matter whether 4 is A or 2 is A? No, absolutely not. I'm going to stick with the 4 though. 4 squared plus 2 squared equals c squared. 4 squared is 16. 2 squared is 4, and that equals c squared. Okay. You must do all of your exponents first before you add. Okay, you cannot add and then do your exponents. This is not the same as 6 squared. Okay, just be careful with that. All right, now 16 plus 4 is 20. 20 equals c squared. So the last thing we have to do is take the square root. Here's another common mistake. The square root is not dividing by 2. The answer to this is not 10. I have to do 20 square root. The answer to this is approximately 4.5. I'm going to round it to 5 because there's a 7 after it. And there we have another one. Okay, I think you guys have got this. If you have any questions or you need any help, please reach out to me. Remember, there are tutoring help sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. I'll talk to you guys later.